Welcome to part 3 of a beginner's guide to scripting. In the last video, I showed you how to make leader stats and a few different for functions that all do if you trigger a proximity prompt, walk on this part, or trigger a click detector on these ones, it gives you money. And as promised, in today's video, I will show you how to use starter GUI. So we can insert a screen GUI right away. And we'll rename it money GUI. And basically we'll make a GUI that will display money. So I will add a frame. You can resize it as you want, but try to make it a rectangular shape. And now I will actually show you how to even customize these. So if you search UI, we have a few different things here. First of all, we have a UI gradient. Then we have a UI aspect ratio constraint, UI size constraint, and the ones we'll be using the most will be UI corner, UI gradient, and UI stroke. So first of all, I will add a UI corner to this. And what this does is basically, if I remove it, as you can see, the corners of this GUI are like sharp, but if I paste it again, they become like smooth. And here we have corner radius, which has a scale. If we change that, it's like a much bigger change than the offset one. So I will put it back to 0. And as you can see, the offset one makes smaller changes. So I will put it somewhere like 20. That seems okay. And the next thing we'll add will be UI stroke. And you might be asking yourself why we are adding this, because if you've been using GUIs before, you probably know that it has a border size pixel, and that's the reason because we added a UI corner. So if you hover over this warning, frame's border size pixel is overridden by UI corner. So then we can't really add a border size pixel or actually change it to a higher than 0 for it to actually be shown. So that's the reason why we use UI stroke. Here we have thickness, transparency, line join mode, so we have round, bevel, so it adds like these corners. I will be using round one, and we'll change the thickness to maybe 5. And I will also add a UI gradient. So the gradient does, it's basically a transition with a few different colors. Primarily it's at least 2. So we can color this a bit green. Oh, okay, wait, it didn't save. So you need to click on the OK here for it to save. And here it can be dark green, for example. But then if you want, you can just click anywhere on this like frame and you can then add a new color. But I'm going to delete this. Now that we've colored it, you have also a rotation here and offset. So offset is basically how far away will the color appear. So if I put 1, as you can see, the dark green has went away. If I put 0.1, it's came back. But I will put it at 0. And this one does the same just for the different axes. So if I rotate this, it will probably be shown more. Yeah, as you can see, it has like that weird transition. But if I put it back to 0, it's kind of gone up. So I will put it like this to 90-degree angle. That looks much better than the one before. And you also have transparency. But that's just the transparency of the whole frame, which I will make it remain 0. And now when we added UI gradient, I will change it also the color of the stroke. So it looks a bit better. And yeah, it can be something like this, dark green. That looks good. Now that we have our frame, I will add a text label. Resize it to be the exact same size. And of course, you could just add a text label and add all of these changes to it. But I think having a frame is a bit better, so in the future you can add more stuff to it. So I changed the background transparency to 1, because we want to see the frame behind it and not just the white color like this. And if you scroll down to the text, here we have a few things such as font, which I will change to Comic Neo Angular. I will also select this text scale, so it's actually the proper size, and change the text color to white. And now here you have text stroke transparency, which you could also just add a UI stroke to this, same as with the frames, or you can just set this to 0, and there you have it, a black stroke. You can of course change the color of this, but I will keep it black. And now you can just keep this text to label. It doesn't really matter since we are going to change it inside of the script anyways. So let's insert a local script. And here, since this is a local script, we can get the player right away. So game.players.local player. We can also get the frame, so it will be script.parent. And if you don't know the basic variables and basic functions, I recommend you to go check out the last two videos. And also, if you're not familiar how the parenting works, basically script.parent means this script that we're inside of, and then its parent. So here inside of the Explorer we kind of have a hierarchy, so parent of something will be the thing above it. So in this case, script.parent is equal to money, but we won't do just parent, we'll do .frame, since we want to get this frame. So basically we go from the script up to the money GUI and again down to the frame. And then for the text label, we can just write text equals frame and .text label. The reason why I'm not putting script.parent.frame and all that is because we already have a frame variable here. So we can just do frame and then .text label. And now I will show you two different ways you can change the text on the text label when it comes to leader stats. So the first one we have is while loop. So while true do, and inside of this loop we can put wait, side of these put seconds, so every 1 second it will update. But rather than doing this, we can just cut this, remove this true, and while every 1 second passes it can just run. So then we can put text .text, and this .text is just a property of this text label. So if you scroll down, as you can see, this is the label thing I told you we don't need to change. And then that will be equal to player.leaderstats.money.value. And if you don't understand what this means, again, go check out the last video. So this is one way of doing it. So then if I join the game, as you can see, it updated straight away to the 0. If I trigger this, we get 10 money and it updates. So every one of these work properly. But as you can see, it looks kind of laggy and it kind of has a latency. So to change that, we can just make this a comment for now, which I will select all of this. Then you can do right click, and as you can see, you have here control then slash, which on my keyboard is control shift and then 7, but you can also do toggle comment. So now we have made this a comment, which basically doesn't do anything. It's just for the developer to read. The script doesn't even see it. So here we can just copy this, paste it down here and get rid of this value. Instead of value, put .changed, and it will connect to a function. And I'll leave this empty and drop it down a few lines, and here we'll make a new function which will be named onChanged, and inside of this we can put text.text, and that will be equal to, again, what we copied, player.leaderstats.money.value, and then inside of this colon connect we can just put onChanged. And we can also get rid of these because we just need this word. And now let's test it. Now this does say label, so maybe at the start just put 0 or something else. But now if I click on this, it changes to 10, and as you can see, we got rid of this latency. It's changing the numbers now rapidly. But now to get rid of that label at the start, we can just copy this, drop down a line here and paste it here. So at the start of the game it should say 0, and as you can see, yeah, we got rid of the label, it just says 0. So if you have a system that saves these leader stats, which I made a video on, so you can go check that out if you want, it will just basically paste the text at the start of the game to whatever the leader stats value is. So now that I showed you how to make a money GUI, I will show you a few different things we can also do with GUIs. So insert a new screen GUI, and we can rename this one part spawner. And this time we won't add a frame, we'll just add a text button. And also for now, since we are not using this money GUI, we can go to the properties of it and select the enabled and make it false, so you don't see it. And with this text button, I won't really change how it looks. I will just go down to text and rename this to spawn, and also put text scaled, so we won't be customizing this one. And I'll put it in the middle right here. And then I will insert a part, rescale it a bit, also anchor it. And if you don't know what anchor does, it basically makes the part stay in the right place where it is currently, because if we unselect the anchor and play the game, the part will drop on the ground due to gravity physics. So make sure to anchor it, and I will rename this into spawn part. And now I will insert a script inside of this, and here we'll do local spawn part equals workspace dot spawn part. And I will also get the button, so local button equals, and this time it will be script.parent, again because the script is inside of the button. And now if we do button dot mouse button one clicked, so this is another form of triggering things with mouse button one clicked if you have a GUI like this. Then we do colon connect and another function, and this time we don't need to put player inside of this, even though you could, but we don't need the player. And now what we will do is make a new instance, a local part equals instance.new, and I think I covered the instances in the last video. And this time we'll make part, and we'll do comma and parent it to workspace. But what we'll also do is part.position, so we're introducing the positioning, and that will be equal to spawn part dot position. So basically this part that we just made from nothing, it will have a position same to the spawn part position, but we don't really want to spawn like exactly on the same position because it will be inside of this part and it will just look weird. And also I will just move this part a bit up so it has like room below it. And what we will do is position minus vector3 dot new, and then these are our coordinates, so x we'll put 0, then comma, and then here we can put maybe 1, and then again comma, and then 0. And if I click spawn, as you can see it spawned another part, and it spawns it like one stud below this spawn part. And this doesn't have a debounce, so we can basically just spam it as long as we want. And if I continue doing this, the game will probably crash, so we'll stop this because we have this pile of parts. So this is it from this video. I shown you how to display value and text, and I also show you how buttons work. Also, if you want to advance your scripting or get some models, check out the first link in the description. So in the next one we'll cover remote events, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching.